We'll start this morning with some big breaking news.
Constance Marten and Mark Gordon have been sentenced to 14 years in prison each for their role in the tragic death of their infant daughter, Victoria. The case, which has gripped the public for months, came to a close with a ruling that underscored both the gravity of their actions and the avoidable nature of the child's death. The story has raised wider questions about parental responsibility, the failure of trust, and the devastating consequences of reckless decisions made by those entrusted with the care of a child. The couple, who had been on the run for several weeks before the body of their baby was discovered, were convicted of gross negligence manslaughter. According to the court, their lifestyle choices and refusal to seek medical help ultimately led to the preventable death of Victoria. Both Marten and Gordon were described by prosecutors as individuals who deliberately put themselves and their newborn at risk by shunning medical services, social support, and any form of intervention that could have safeguarded the baby's life. The sentencing judge emphasized that the punishment was not only about the tragic outcome but also about the deliberate choices the couple made during and after the birth. Marten, born into a wealthy family, and Gordon, who had a criminal history including time served in the United States, chose to go into hiding from authorities. Their fear of losing custody of the child, combined with an insistence on avoiding the system, meant that Victoria was born in unsafe conditions without professional care. This decision had fatal consequences. During the trial, it was revealed that the couple had traveled across multiple cities, avoiding detection, while Marten was visibly pregnant. Witnesses described seeing her heavily pregnant in public yet clearly detached from any intention of seeking help. When the baby was born, the situation worsened. They were living in makeshift shelters and abandoned areas, exposed to the harsh winter conditions. Medical experts testified that Victoria's death was due to a lack of proper care and exposure, something that could have been entirely prevented had they sought assistance. The court heard emotional testimony about the state in which the baby's body was found. Authorities discovered her remains wrapped in a plastic bag, concealed in an area near where the couple had been hiding. This revelation shocked even seasoned investigators and was cited by the prosecution as evidence of the couple's disregard for the dignity and safety of their child. Forensic specialists concluded that the baby had likely been alive for a period before succumbing to the cold and lack of care. The defense argued that Marten and Gordon had not intended to harm their child but had acted out of fear and mistrust of the authorities. They maintained that the couple believed intervention from social services would have led to Victoria being taken away, just as they feared for their other children. However, the jury and judge agreed that their actions amounted to gross negligence. By prioritizing their own desire to remain hidden over the welfare of their newborn, they failed in the most basic duty of care. Public reaction to the sentencing has been strong, with many viewing the case as a chilling reminder of how vulnerable children can suffer when adults fail them. Child protection agencies and charities have pointed to the case as an example of why support systems must be accessible and trusted. Questions have also been raised about whether more could have been done by authorities to intervene earlier, as Marten and Gordon had been known to social services before this tragedy. The 14-year sentences handed down reflect the court's recognition of the seriousness of the crime but also acknowledge the complexities of the case. While not the maximum possible sentence, the ruling was described as significant and proportionate, aiming to deliver justice while also considering the unique circumstances of the parents. The judge noted that while they did not intentionally set out to kill Victoria, their decisions directly led to her death and thus required accountability. In the wider social context, the case has sparked debate about parental rights, state intervention, and the trust gap that exists between vulnerable families and social services. Some commentators have argued that the couple's fear of losing custody of their child illustrates how broken trust in the system can lead to catastrophic outcomes. Others maintain that no level of mistrust justifies the abandonment of basic medical care for a newborn. The sentencing also raises important issues about how society deals with individuals who deliberately avoid authorities despite posing risks to vulnerable dependents. Marten's privileged background juxtaposed with Gordon's troubled past created a narrative of two individuals bound by fear, secrecy, and poor judgment, ultimately culminating in tragedy. Their refusal to engage with the healthcare system or any protective services was described by the court as a selfish act that placed their child's life at grave risk. For many, the haunting detail is the image of Victoria, an innocent child who never had a chance at life because of the decisions made by her parents. The lack of medical assistance during birth, the exposure to freezing conditions, and the ultimate concealment of her remains have left an indelible mark on public memory. Advocacy groups have already begun calling for reforms to ensure that similar situations are less likely to occur, urging for greater outreach and stronger safety nets for mothers in crisis. As Marten and Gordon begin their prison sentences, the focus will inevitably shift to what lessons can be learned. For the justice system, the case reaffirms the principle that children's welfare must always be placed above all other considerations. For society at large, it serves as a warning of what can happen when fear, mistrust, and poor decision-making override the fundamental responsibilities of parenthood. While the couple's story is one of decline, isolation, and tragedy, the lasting legacy will be that of Victoria. Her death stands as a stark reminder of the vulnerability of infants and the absolute necessity of parental responsibility. Though Marten and Gordon may serve their sentences and one day re-enter society, the loss of their child will remain a permanent testament to the consequences of their choices. The judge concluded the proceedings with words that encapsulated the heart of the matter: this was not simply a case of two individuals failing themselves, but of two parents failing their child. The 14-year sentences are intended not only to punish but to act as a deterrent, signaling that society will hold parents accountable when their reckless actions lead to the death of a child. For now, justice has been served in the legal sense, but the moral and emotional scars of this case will linger far longer. Victoria's short, tragic life is a story that cannot be undone, and her memory will continue to echo as a call for greater awareness, compassion, and vigilance in protecting society's most vulnerable members.